Alright, this is Takaday3332 back with another Transformers review, and this time I am reviewing the store-bought version of Transformers Generations Bruticus Blastoff. And first I want to take a look at the packaging. And if you look on the back of the packaging, we got a nice obligatory progress shot of the figure. We got the bio, and I like how down here we have this big old picture of bruticus with what figure you got and, buy all these others. So that's really cool. It gives you a nice little check-off list going on. There's your bios, and turn around. We got a nice picture of Blastoff himself, build giant robot. And I'm thinking several of these guys are carrying the same weapon in each of the pictures. Maybe it's just me, I'm not sure. Okay. So, back to Blastoff himself. And as we can see, he's a purple-ish, sci-fi'd out rocket ship guy. I think he looks cool. He's got a lot of spikes. He's got some really nice molded in engine detail right along here in between. And he's got his two guns, which can be mounted in two different places, either here or here. But keep in mind that if you're going to mount it here, and then you want to put it here, you actually got to move this one to that side and vice versa, which kind of sucks, but, it works. Now, first I'm going to transform to robot mode, and when playing around with him, this side tends to jam up a little bit. There we go. Playing around with him, I figured out that he has a grrr rocket mode, which likes to stand up, which can stand up, but just not right there. There we go. Yeah. Okay, pull those straight down like that. Then you come back here to the engine section, pull it back like that, then split it. And when you bring it forward, you got these awkward hinges here, and this tab's going to plug into that slot there, like that. Same thing on that side. Now, you don't really have to, but you're supposed to lift this section up for the head reveal and flip the whole nose cone of the ship down. Adjust the camera a bit. Then you have to rearrange the arms. Now, the arms fold down like that out of the rocket parts. And here we have Generations Blastoff in robot mode. And a lot of his vehicle detail just transfers straight over, cockpit on the chest, rocket pack on the shoulders. When you turn them around, there's zero back kibble. But what I notice is even though they have some nice molded in detail, the legs are hollow, the arms are hollow. And I also notice that he's got this weird shoulder joint going on. The shoulder joint's right here, but also here, and so when you're playing around with him, you can end up with some really weird looking poses. No waist articulation. He's got a nice universal jointed hip. Swivel above the thigh. Almost 180 degree. Oh, no, it's more of a 100 degree. Yeah. 100 degree knee. And then there's his guns, which are pretty nice, a little bit of paint on there, bit of molded in detail, good stuff. Plug into his hands like that, or over here like that, so you can dual wield, or if you want, you can plug them together and get a double-handed dual barrel cannon. of ass kickitude. Yep. Now, to transform him to limb mode, the instructions say to keep him in robot mode, but I find it's a lot easier just to transform him back to vehicle mode. So I'm going to do that right now. Fold the arms up like this, into the engines, untab those, bring the whole, you gotta be careful of pulling that back actually, because it wants to bend at a specific angle, and if you don't let it swivel at that right angle that it wants to, it's gonna break and you're not gonna be happy. Okay, so we have it this far done. You're gonna take this part up here, which becomes the connection part, and then the cockpit kind of floats back and forth to get out of the way. And how was this again? Split the legs apart, like so. And then there's this little hook here, and that's going to hook right next to the other part, and then the hands are going to peg together. Again with the... Okay, hold on. I need to make a more stable backdrop, don't I? There we go. Oh, my hips aren't in the right position. That'll help. Yeah, these hip joints need to be in the right position, otherwise it's gonna all jam up and not want to peg together right. So that hooks together, and there's a peg in the fist for the fist to go together. And there we go. We have him in bruticus arm mode. And he's got two thumbs, so he can be either a left hand or a left arm or a right arm, which is cool. But you know, he's in the instructions supposed to be an arm, and for articulation wise, you have the will be a 360-degree swivel at the shoulder, a 360-degree upper arm swivel, and a really, really big elbow. But even though he's marked to be an arm, I really think he'd be best as a leg. It just seems better that way to me. So, I don't know when I'm going to be getting the rest of them. I know most of the other reviewers have either gotten the San Diego Comic-Con version or the Amazon version, so they're able to review them all at once or in the same amount of days. I found this at a Kmart out of town. There's also a Swindle there, but I could only afford to get him at the time. And I'm happy, if you can find him, pick him up. He's a great figure, even just by himself. You know, that's the great thing about these bruticus guys. You don't need the whole set to have a good figure. So, this has been Takare3332 with another Transformers review. Subscribe, polite comment below, and thank you much.